I'm not gonna lie. As we go into this playlist and we get to San Jose, I see a team that likely the worst could be ahead for them because again, San Jose fans will point out, Couture was injured. Right. San Jose fans will point out there were other injuries as well. Correct. I would also counter with this is a team that can't afford any major injuries next year, or they're right back where they were this season, which is not necessarily great. And there are a lot of question marks with the San Jose Sharks, which is why I'm wondering whether we might be seeing a long term stay at near the bottom of the NHL for, I'll say, the next 2 or 3 seasons because they don't have their own draft pick. They don't have the opportunity to draft third. Just imagine how great it would have been if Stutzla or Byfield was joining this forward group for next year. We would already be talking about, hey, the worst is probably this season and they can move forward and probably get a lot better. So the forward group, and I mean, trying to come up with a forward group with the guys who are under contract and played for them this year, and trying to cobble something together that looks like it could compete for a playoff spot is not easy. And I understand I've got guys in the wrong spots and on the wrong lines, and that's not a big deal because again, I think they're going to be looking to add at least one forward. It's funny too because last summer I talked about San Jose and how they seem to be relying on some rookies to come in. And I thought, they seem to be leaving spots open where they should be signing guys. And so that's why we right away were like, well, they need to bring back Thornton and Marlowe because they have nobody to replace them. And then they brought back Thornton. Eventually, they brought back Marlowe. And it helped briefly, and then it didn't. So I think if they bring back Thornton again, certainly Thornton gets into one of those forward spots down the middle. But I don't know that it necessarily affects any chance of them making the playoffs. Their exits, Nason. If Nason wants to come back, odds are they can work something out. Nason played well for San Jose, and yet again, I don't know that adding Stefan Nason back to this roster makes them a playoff contender. Joe Thornton, Melker Karlsson is also on the list of exits. If he wants to come back, odds are they can probably find room for him because again, this is a group that's going to need some help. Tim Heed off the blue line, Brendan Davidson off the blue line, and Arundel in net. So there are some issues to work out, and Arundel was the better of the two goaltenders for most of this season. So that's a problem. So a lot of issues with San Jose. And again, because they don't own their own draft pick, we don't have that ability we had with Detroit and Ottawa in this playlist to say, hey, but there's going to be some good guys coming in. They draft 26th, likely 26th, anyways. It could be as low as 31st. It's Tampa Bay's number one draft pick, so we'll see where it ends up going. I think that was a smart move by Doug Wilson. And yes, Doug Wilson does make some smart moves. I do understand, though, if you're a San Jose fan and you feel like you're done with them, I get it. Because this disastrous season is something last summer we weren't calling it, but we were questioning some of the moves being made. So up front, you got Kane, Couture, Meyer. All three of those are top six forwards, absolutely. And the three of them together, that would be a fantastic line. But then you get down to the second, you get LeBanc, pretty good goal scorer, who's played for below market value this past season. Tomas Hertl, excellent forward and one of the best at face-offs, one of the most interesting face-off setups I've ever seen. And Shellman, I put in the top six because why not? Shellman showed at times this year he looked like he could jump up, so I'm going to say sure. And then you got Sorensen, Gambrell, and Bergman, Suomela, Gregor, and True. It's not a great top 12. So definitely I would think this summer, well, this fall, Doug Wilson will be looking to add. Because he kind of has to. On the blue line, and I'll come back to the depth in a second here because that's important too. On the blue line, Vlasic and Burns, Šimek, and Karlsson. Honestly, a very good top four if they all play well. Karlsson needs to bounce back. Burns needs to get back to being that defenseman that was pushing towards a Norris Trophy. And Karlsson needs to find that as well. And then I've got Ferraro on the third pairing, but I could see him being second pairing as well. And then I've got an empty spot here because I don't know that we've got anybody who necessarily would be able to step in. Milosh, who was a shoo-in for a roster spot in the NHL coming out of juniors, and it just hasn't quite worked out that way. You've got Merkley, you've got Sund, you've got Raw, Nyazev, Knizov, I believe. I was listening to the pronunciation on um, Elite Prospects. Trevor Carrick, who can jump into this spot if need be, in Middleton, who's RFA this summer. So Middleton and Carrick very likely to be that number 6. But I've got a blank spot there because I think they need to add a defenseman. I didn't put a blank spot in the forward group because technically all 12 of those guys could be the top 12 forwards, and I don't know what kind of odds I would give San Jose on getting better. And then in net, Jones. You have faith in Jones having a bounce back. And, of course, that empty spot because we don't know that Dell comes back. They did sign Melnichuk in the offseason, well, during the pause. I could see Melnichuk being the backup, and there's not a whole lot else to go with if you're San Jose. So that may be very well why Melnichuk signed there. Now, the forwards, again, you've got some guys who might jump in. You're taken. I liked your taken last year during the preseason and in his cup of coffee in the NHL. I don't know if the NHL upside's there. Jonathan Dahlen, is he going to come back over to North America? Is he going to be motivated? You know, and I pulled for Dahlen while he was a member of the Canucks system, but it just wasn't working out, and it hasn't worked out so far in San Jose either. Chikovic, Ibrahimov, likely not coming up. Leonard, and again, with Ibrahimov, he was a 6th-round pick last year. Himilevsky, Gallant, Latunov. Maxim Latunov is one of those maybes. So it's possible that Latunov steps into this lineup, you're taking steps into this lineup, pushes a couple of guys out, and makes them a pretty solid group. But there's no guarantee with that. And then there's Handmark, who they picked up as well as a free agent, and maybe with the idea that he can jump in and push somebody out. And then on the right side, I've got Blitchfield, and that's as far as that goes. San Jose's issue is simple. They have top-end talent in Burns, Carlson, Couture, Meyer, and Kane. All top-end talents, and I'll say Hurdle, if he can stay healthy, absolutely in that category as well. They are not a team that can afford a single injury. They are not a team, like, of those guys, none of them can get hurt or they're done. They are a team that I think was built. I get the intention. I get the idea of keeping Erik Karlsson. I get that, but I think that letting go of guys like Pavelski, Donskoy, I think they missed Dieto out of this forward group as well. I think there are a lot of players who've been jettisoned off. They have cap space to maybe fix things right now, but the amount of cap eaten by Burns and Carlson is problematic. The odds of San Jose being able to get better next year, being able to improve their lot, I think they have long odds. I do. Again, if you re-sign Nason, you re-sign Thornton, Carlson, it does improve their forward group, but I don't think it does it enough. And the weird thing is this. Coming into this past season, I talked about it. I said, I don't know that I like the forward group. But I still picked San Jose to make the playoffs. I still thought, yeah, they should still make the playoffs. So I definitely think that there are those of us who are probably just writing them off altogether when we shouldn't be. But it is tough for me to look at this lineup and say, yeah, playoffs. I can look at Ottawa's and I can see reason for optimism, especially with the number 3 and number 5 pick in a good deep draft where guys should be good to go and ready to play this coming season. I can look at Detroit and say that 39-point season, that should be the bottom, and they should go right back up into the 65, maybe 70-point range next year. But with San Jose, I don't know that I see it. I love Couture. I do. I think Logan Couture is an amazing player. He's fantastic, and Hurdle's faceoffs are something to marvel at. But I just don't know that I see enough here for San Jose to be able to make that step. They need more draft picks than what they have. They need higher level draft picks than what they have. And the one thing that, I mean, we can all look at Doug Wilson and say, well, it's his fault, and you know their prospect pipeline hasn't been, you know, solid enough for a long time. Part of that is going to be because they've been a really good team and they haven't been drafting early. But I can't give him that pass when I've been trying to point out in videos over the last few weeks that smart GMs draft better later. And they pick up guys in the middle rounds, late rounds, that we maybe don't pay enough attention to, and maybe we don't give them enough credit. So maybe there's something to be said for Wilson needing to have extra picks and make sure he gets more hits on them. And I'm talking about like some really good late round hits where it's a really good top 6, maybe a good top 4 defenseman, and we say, wow, that was a great pick. And so that to me is where San Jose is kind of lacking right now. I think they're paying too much money to Jones. I could see them trying to move Martin Jones and then trying to figure out how to remake things. I think it gets worse before it gets better. I have to be honest. Unless things change, maybe Sorensen finds that scoring talent that I know is there. I know the upside's there, but it's a matter of it being there consistently. Maybe Shellman, but again, there's just too many maybes for me. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below regarding San Jose and the 2020-2021 season and how different things might look for next year. Who might go? Who might come in to make that replacement? Because again, they have the cap space. Maybe they sign somebody. Maybe they're in on bringing back Hoffman, San Jose Sharks legend. Maybe they had Hoffman on the wing, and maybe that fixes some things on this roster. Let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.